Welcome to CIT 170 Intro. CIT 170 is a 3-hour course. My name is Charles William Marshall. I'm your adjunct instructor. And Blackboard is the preferred way to communicate for this class. But supplemental information is going to be available at https://www.cwmclass.com. Okay, before we get started, I need your help so that I can better understand where each of you is coming from. And I'm not going to read each of these, but I would like you to look at these 3 questions and submit them at your earliest convenience, but certainly before we have our class next week. Okay, you're taking this class, and I want to tell you what I think the class is going to deliver to you that you should be able to expect to take away from it. You're going to know how to define a database and its uses, describe the difference between traditional files and databases, define the database management systems, and describe services a database management system must provide to the users, identify and describe the main features of hierarchical, network, and relational database modules, demonstrate an understanding of the difference between logical and physical design, model a realistic business application using a technologically independent data model, design and implement a database using a relational model with emphasis on data integrity and security, define and use the normalization process to further refine the relational database table definitions, demonstrate an understanding of the database administration function, define and be able to use data definition language, define manipulation language, and instructions that apply to relational algebra, demonstrate an understanding of a distributed database system, and evaluate and select an appropriate database management system for a given application. Now, all those are straight out of your syllabus, and I'll bet they all sound complicated. And as with most things in life, the things you understand are simple, and the things that you don't understand are complicated. My goal in this class is to break each topic down to basic terms and concepts. Use those terms and concepts to build your understanding to understand more complex terms and concepts. And this class is cumulative, just like a Lego project or a jigsaw puzzle. If a term or concept is not clear, ask me a question. Because this is an online class, you don't need to worry about, I'm going to hold up the class, or what will other people need. Think of me. Because of office hours and email and so forth, we can do this one-on-one, and you don't have to worry about anything except being sure that you understand the concepts. Once you grasp the terms and concepts, move on. It's not a time-based system, so if you look at a section and realize you know the answers to those questions without even doing the reading, great. We live in a technological world, and more of you all are exposed at younger and younger ages to the sorts of things that we're going to be discussing. And so my goal is not to give you busy work, but is to help your understanding. But if you don't understand, that means that I've done a poor job with my explanation, because you didn't come in, if you already knew what I'm going to try to explain to you, you didn't need to take the class. This is my first class, and so if I say something, and many times I will, and people go, huh? Well, just say, huh? I don't understand what that means. Can you say it a different way? Because believe me, I can say the same thing many different ways, and sooner or later we'll find something that you can relate to with your help. So please ask me a question. That's exactly what office hours are for. Okay. How will we know a failure if it happens? What's it going to look like? If you roll your eyes and give up because you believe that it's too complicated, I can't do this, we'll fail. If you start with, I can't do, fill in the blank, math, drive, I mean, anything you want to try to do, if you start off with "I can't do it," you're probably right. But then then we're both going to fail. However, I hope you will ask me a question, because then I can help you get over that point. And many times, it is correct that once light comes on, once somebody is able to put it in terms that make sense in your world, it's simple. And until then, it's complex. Help me help you. Okay. Your final project will not be done in a week or two. So you need to start picking a problem to solve now. In the real world, you will need to convince others that your data solutions can be trusted. Whether it's at work, whether it's at home in a marriage or with parents or in an organization, doing the kind of stuff you're talking about we're going to talk about takes resources. And people are going to have to depend on your solution. So you have to be able to convince them that your solution makes sense and it's worth the effort. For your project, you're going to need to define the problem your solution is designed to solve. Okay, there are many times in the world that you're going to see solutions in search of a problem. That's guaranteed failure. If you're solving a problem that doesn't exist, almost always, you're doomed at the start. Now, I will give you this one proviso. Nobody realized they wanted an iPhone until Steve Jobs designed it and convinced them they did. And nobody knew that they needed a mouse with a computer until Steve Jobs or his team pilfered the idea from the Xerox PARC and commercialized it. So the fact that people may not know they have a problem doesn't mean you shouldn't solve it. But it does mean before you start trying to solve it, you better figure out exactly what problem it is you're after. Because if you don't know your goal, any road will lead there. Okay, once you've got a problem, why does the problem need a solution? Some things that you think need a solution may not be worth it. And if it does need a solution, what's the cost? Emotional, financial, spiritual, for whatever reason. Because one of the things you're going to hear me say over and over is the juice worth the squeeze? And that means that any effort is going to have some output, the juice. And the effort is the squeeze. So as you squeeze juice out of an orange or a grapefruit or whatever, you've got to always be looking at how much effort is it going to take me to get those results, and is there a payback? Okay, how will you organize the data to solve the problem that you've now decided that you have and that you've now decided is worth solving? How will you enter the data into how will people who use the system or your solution enter data into your structures? And how will users gain the information out of it? The old joke in computing is that you have a write-only media, which is you put a lot of stuff in and nothing comes out. That is not a good formula for success. So as you design your organization, and you should know how to do that yet, it's just something you ought to be thinking about as we go through these steps. And as you decide how you're going to get information in, you also need to be thinking about how you're going to get information out, and what will people want to do with the information that you now have in that system. Things to consider. Is a scope too large for a class project? If somebody said, my father runs a filling station and he has a lot of repair work, and I want to, as part of this project, write a system that will bill all his customers and reorder all his parts, you can't do that in the time you've got available for this class. So try to find a solution, try to target for one part of the solution. Maybe you want to come up with a system that keeps up with customers and the calendar of where their appointments are, or some other part of that. But as you pick a solution or a problem to solve, keep a focus. Does the solution cost more than the problem it currently costs? And I remember when I was about your age and at the University of Kentucky, I found a program from Purdue University that was guaranteed to be able to tell a farmer exactly what size tractors and how many tractors he needed to have or she needed to have to optimize the field work on that farm. And I was all excited, and I came home one summer and I had, I think it was 30 pages of inputs that my father needed to tell me so that I could tell him what size tractors to get. Well, I mean, some of them were like, what's the exact size of all the fields? Probably could get that. How much horsepower is required to pull one bottom plow through each field? Wasn't any way I knew that answer. And there was 29 and 3/4 pages left to go. Well, we quickly realized that we could buy a farm in the time it would take to get the input to put through their program. So avoid that. Okay, how CIT is going to work. I'm going to prepare video segments like this on class topics. They're not necessarily going to be one per week, because some weeks you're going to be able to cover more than one topic, and some topics are bigger than you can do in a week. You should move through them at your own speed. Because this is a online class, you should run them at your speed. I will grade the assignments as soon as you finish them, so you don't need to wait for week 3 to submit week 3's assignment. And when you submit it, I will review it and get it back to you. However, you do need to turn in week 3 assignment by the week 3's date to have it in if you want to count it towards your grade. And I do this because yours is not the first generation that learned to procrastinate. And by doing things regularly, it will avoid the situation where you're 3 weeks from the end of the class and then you decide you're going to start. And this will also help you know there's a time which you can drop a class with it not shown on your record, or withdraw from a class. Drop, I guess, is the first word. And the second one is there's a time when you can drop a class and not have the grade. It'll just show dropped. If you're working the homework, worst case, as they come due, then as the semester progresses, you'll have a better feeling of whether, yeah, this is going to be a good class, or whether you need to take some of those extreme situations. I think if you call or ask questions during the office hours, nobody should have to either drop or withdraw, assuming nothing external to the class goes on. But I need you to turn in week 3 no later than when week 3 is due, but you can turn stuff in early. Okay, check the Blackboard for class assignments and to turn your work in. Yes, there is a cwmclass.com, but it's only for supplemental information. The official way to communicate and the only way that counts to turn in homework and where to get assignments is from Blackboard.